Welcome back to another edition of Fly Tying with Jim Misiura. Today I'm going to tie a ISO for my local, an Isonychia for my local river, although I can't fish it right now because the water's so low. But I was over at my son's house, and he lives right across the street from the water, and there was a nice ISO on the side of his house, so it gave me the inspiration. But just like with any mayfly species, the colors can vary a little bit from one stream to the other. And we see that especially in sulfurs. Sulfurs on one stream can be sulfur orange, and a mile away on another stream they can be yellow. So it really depends on the water itself as to what particular color it is. And this particular color didn't have any claret in it, like for example, the Delaware River ISO. We use 2/3 gray and 1/3 red, and it kind of gives you that claret color. And this was also a pretty large fly. This one here, ISOs are, and I'm going to use a size 12, and this is a standard length. And I'm going to use some black thread. This is 16/0 Vivis. Going to start the thread, and I'm going to come back halfway. And we're going to bring that forward half of that. Another distinct feature of the Isonychia, it has a very dark wing. So I'm going to use a slate colored quill for the wing. Sometimes the Isonychia is commonly called a slate gray. I'm going to take the feather, I'm going to touch the shank of the hook with it, and then I'm going to pull that off, and that's going to be the size of my wing. Again, I'm going to touch the shank of the hook, poke it through, and there is my second wing. When you do this, you want a right wing, a feather from the right wing, and a feather from the left wing, so that when you put them together, there'll be already a natural curve in them. It helps greatly to divide them. You could even leave them without putting a thread wrap in between because they are divided. And now when we take them and we match them together, we want to put them, you can see that natural curve is pulling them apart. And when we tie them on, we want that slope to be just like this, on top and shooting down towards the front, so that when you stand them up, you're going to get that natural mayfly curve on the back. And I can see one is a little longer than the other, or a little wider than the other, so I'm just going to go ahead and take off. I took off 3 segments there. We want that wing the length of the hook shank. Going to hold that on top, take that loose loop, bring that straight up, holding it tight. And I'm still holding it tight. You don't want to roll it. And you can see it roll just slightly, but when we stand it up, that'll come right out. We're going to go ahead and trim that off at an angle, and we'll bring our thread back to the rear. Now this hook doesn't have a barb on it, but you can see that this hook is actually curved up there a little bit. This is the Lively Legs number 305. It is a barbless, and having that hook turn up a little bit gives you that extra staying power. Now for the tail, I'm going to take a dark done Hackle and I'm taking it off the top of the cape. You can use the Coq de Leon for your tail, and they're fantastic for tails, but the color of the Coq de Leon that I have is not dark enough. That's why I'm taking this dark dun, and I'm going to pull a bunch together and pull them all off, and they'll be pretty much lined up. I'm going to measure that to be about the length of the body, meaning from the base of the wings to the back. And I'm going to go ahead and trim that off now. Leave just a little bit there for you to tie down. We'll go ahead and tie that in. Make sure that stays on top. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn my hook over so I can get my fingers in there better to dub. And I'm taking my ISO, and this was a grayish brown color on this fly that I caught. So I'm going to take that grayish brown and actually just mix this up. Mixing a brown rabbit in with some more grayish color. And we're going to make the noodle. It might be a little too much there. There we go, nice tight noodle. And I have it tapered more on the back than towards the front. And we're going to go ahead and wrap this. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put a wrap under the tail. And that's going to hold that tail right into position, but also keep it where it's supposed to be. And we get right to the wing. I'm going to lift that wing, and I'm going to put some wraps in front of it. Get them nice and tight in there so you don't have to use a lot. And like I said, I'm not even going to separate that wing now. I'm going to put that back a little bit further. Stand them up straighter. And if your wing splits a little bit, go ahead and just marry them back together. Now for the hackle, I'm going to use the dark dun, and I'm going to prepare that by standing it straight up. I'm going to trim that off, and then I'm going to give it the crew cut. And we're going to tie them in. I like to put them right between the wing, but also you want to leave one or two of the barbels of the crew cut exposed. Take that, get that tight right in back. And then again, I'm going to have to hold that wing up and catch that front. And now another name that they call this is also the with a bicolor. So the ISOs, they have the back legs are dark and the front two legs are a light color. So I'm going to take a badger and I'm going to prepare that again the same way I'm going to give it the crew cut. Now this is going to be the front. I'm going to take this, I'm going to tie this in at the front. And you get that again. I'm going to go ahead and take my dark hackle, and now because I left the couple barbels of the haircut or the crew cut exposed, my hackle's not shooting towards the rear. We're going to give this 2 or 3 wraps in the back. We're going to go with 2. Now I'm going to bring it to the front and give it a wrap there. Going to rub the wing. And then I'm going to tie that in. We'll go ahead and remove that excess. Now I'm going to take that badger hackle, and I'm going to wrap this, just a couple of wraps right in front. Now because of all of the crew cut, I have to give it that an extra one. 1, 2, and I'm going to tie that down. Put a wrap in front, and I'm going to remove that excess. And I got a couple of the dark hackles going forward. I'm going to trim them. But I'm still going to take my half hitch tool just to keep the hackles out of the way, and then I could tie the head. I'm just going to do a few wraps there, take my whip finish, put the hook over the thread, go around the camel hump, bring it back. There's our X. Slide that X down to the shank, and then 2, 3, take the camel hump out. Take your poke and snip again, trim that off, put a little bit of head cement on there. You see that? Clean your brush off very well. Get that little bit on there. Got one hackle, there we go. And here we have the Isonychia, or the slate gray. Hope that you learned something from this video. Hope that you would subscribe to my channel. Please refer me to your friends, and if you do subscribe, please hit the like and notify so you don't miss any of my videos. Please visit my sponsors and let them know that I sent you. Leave comments, questions, suggestions. If you'd like to purchase any flies for me, go to etsy.com/shop/theflymanjim. And if you don't see it there, just send me a message and I'll get right back to you. And most of all, thank you very much for watching my videos.